Hi, thank you for joining our monthly webinar. Today, we are going to talk a very uh, talk about a very timely topic, and everyone is super hyped about all these generative models, especially the chat GPTs and bards and all of those. For this discussion, I have invited someone from Auckland, New Zealand. He's a expert in natural language understanding and has worked a lot with large language models. So with him, we can discuss some of the latest and chat about ChatGPT. So let me welcome Dr. Charmaine Sirivardhana from Auckland, New Zealand, to join this chat.
Hi, Suranga. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's always good to have a chat with you, and also it's better to kind of talk about LLMs. Yeah,
Right. Thanks
yeah,
for joining. I know it's almost uh, 10 p.m. for you in cold winter, and thanks for your time. And as an intro, I know you worked with large language models, at least what we thought large language models back then, like BERT and BART during your PhD.
yeah,
Tell us a bit about that journey, your PhD journey, and those days with the models that we thought large language models back then.
yeah. So yeah, to start with that, fun fact is I remember reading the bird paper, and actually that inspired me a lot to pick my PhD topic. So my PhD topic was use of pre-trained self-supervised learning models to improve domain-specific natural language understanding tasks like abstractive summarization, question answering, and also multimodal emotion recognition as well as information retrieval. So the idea was kind of how I can use these available models like BERT, Roberta, then BART, Wave to Wake, kind of use these models for these domain specific applications. So yeah, back then I would say these models back then it was like the beginning of this new era, like all these big companies like Meta, Amazon, Google, they started to train their own models and kind of open source the checkpoint to the rest of the world. So researchers like us and even industry, we started to use them and build our own applications. So kind of conduct can like we started to conduct our own research on top of them. And of course, compared to right now, I would say those models are kind of small, but back in 2019-18, still those were huge compared to what we had before, like what we had before, like compared to some convolutional neural networks and all. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So, I mean, for those who are not experts in understanding the self-supervised learning and BART models, since everyone knows about ChatGPT,
Mm.
can we, try and explain, how these, ChatGPT is an example of a large language model, how they work in a very simple way, so people understand
Mm.
how they can generate these human-like responses. What's the simplest way to explain to somebody how ChatGPT works?
Yeah. So first thing to understand is over these last 4 years, there's not much has changed, like in terms of theory. Like I would say the theory behind BERT and theory behind ChatGPT or GPT 3.5 is kind of the same. But what has happened over the time is the scale and the size of these models has like kind of improved a lot, like over the time. I mean, they have like they actually have increased a lot over the time. So first, in order to understand what is a language model is an AI that has seen a lot of text data, and it knows the general rules of the language, and also it knows some kind of a knowledge about language, like about the data it has seen. So how we do this is, first we take bunch of unsupervised data. That means just the text. You just collect like terabytes of text first up, and then you also create a neural network. There are different neural networks, but usually what we use is this architecture called transformers, which is really a stable architecture that can handle sequential data. Then what we do is we kind of like chunk this text into sentences in a way, and automatically create a training task. Like we call this task as pretext task. So one such pretext task is predicting the next word. Like, you take a sentence, let's say the sentence is I like to play football, and you remove that word football and only input I like to play part into the model, and ask the model to predict um, what is the next word. So initially model will predict something dumb, but then you know the correct word is football. Then you can say the model, hey, you need to predict this word football because it was there before. And so you kind of keep doing it for many more rounds, so eventually your model learns about the language and all. So that's like the base model. So on top of that, what ChatGPT has done is they have again trained that base model with some of human instruction data. Human instruction data in the sense means they have again created some small data sets, like compared to the initial data set, like still it would be big, but compared to that unsupervised data sets, they have created a data set, like some prompts and their answers. So they have fine-tuned the GPT 3.5 model on top of that. And also what they have done is they have used something called reinforcement learning from human feedback to kind of improve the flavor of the model, kind of like kind of generate kind of pinch the model to generate more human like responses. So that's
Right.
like the easiest way to explain what is ChatGPT and what is the kind of technology behind it.
Right. So if I were to maybe even oversimplify, if ChatGPT were a person, what you do is show that person all the texts in the internet,
Hmm.
and then start masking out words and ask the person to, hey, what was that word? And after that, the person can understand all of that. Then you teach the person how to do a conversation, right? That's oversimplified way. uh, now that chat gpt and other llms like bart and all of them are everywhere, and since you are in that domain, you're working as a senior machine learning engineer. uh, uh, how do you see the 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 ways that developers can integrate these things into, what are the best practices, or do you have any tips on integrating these into building certain business applications, or any applications that people want to develop?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So first thing is we are still pretty new to this. Like, it's you can, I mean, even if you have a PhD in this, still this is new, because of course LLMs were here like since I'd say 2020, like, but or maybe 2021, but the actual revolution happened with ChatGPT, even for researchers, and even for researchers who were in this domain, who are in this domain actually. So it's a new thing for us. So I would say people are still figuring it out, and so it's a great field to kind of explore, and for both of industry and researchers. Um, but the potential is enormous for me, because some people even believe like this could lead us into the artificial general intelligence. But to kind of explain this in layman terms, I would say the idea of this LLM revolution is, can we use natural language as an interface to solve many problems? So it could be some kind of a call center, or it could be some kind of an app where you just need to kind of help your clients to find information about your company. Or it could be something that help to do some summarizing thing or some analytics or anything. So the big idea is like, can we use language, like can we create an interface where you just need to talk with it and get the output out of it. I would say that's philosophically, which is like which is pretty much of a prompt thing, because as human beings we like to communicate, we like to ask questions and learn. So there are enormous amount of applications. It's not just for computer science, so it's not for like field of information technology, but maybe fields like finance, law, uh, anywhere like where you have a lot of information and all. This kind of a technology can come up with different solutions. So
Right.
yeah, there are many things like, but it could use to like kind of automate many tasks we are using. Even the coding, I would say my job also would be kind of automated in one way or other, like pretty soon. That's how I think of
Right,
it.
right. And one of the things that comes with, although uh, sometimes these things looks like magic, they come with certain challenges and risk. At least in the
Hmm.
space that I'm operating, teaching basic computer science, or researching, one of the challenges, people take this as the absolute truth, in
Hmm.
even writing reports, or even getting the chat gpt like llms to generate the codes, all of that. There's a risk in how do you create new knowledge. That's one risk.
Yes.
That is more from the academic point of view. uh, what are the risk and challenges you foresee from the industry point of view?
Yeah, exactly. So to be honest, the main risk is what you just have mentioned. Uh, like still, because we people need to believe people need to learn. Actually, this is a large language model, and this is a generative model. That means it will generate something out of a probability. So the main problem is it can generate factually inconsistent stuff, like can generate things, I would say, like we call them hallucinations. So yeah, this is like the biggest problem I see with generative, like large language models like ChatGPT, where you can't actually say, oh, this is the truth, and also you can't actually guarantee that it won't generate something like that. And then again, there's a huge discussion going on around this topic. Can we create language models without like language models that can only generate the truth? But uh, but the problem is, people say the way we train, where we show that amount of data, we it's more like a fundamental thing to generate stuff, like because models have trained on generating stuff, and then it is hard to kind of control the model. Hey, don't generate this, don't generate that. I would
Yeah,
say it's more like understanding the workflow. That's a workflow, and kind of come up with some mechanisms to cope up with it.
yeah.
So that's the main thing. Yeah, hallucinations is
Yes.
the main thing for me right now.
Right. This is a great time to segue into some of the questions that people who are
Yeah.
connected asking. So feel free to ask questions. So, Shehan kind of asked, or made a comment that I think we answered. He said, you know, I use Chat GPT or GPT for literally everything. I would say use with care, right? As Shaman said, it can generate hallucination, and some people joke by saying ChatGPT is a great liar with references and everything, non-existent references.
Yes.
References. It can sound like very convincing, but
Hmm.
do the same due diligence. So yes, you can use it for literally everything, but use it with care, I would say. Uh, Pablo
Hmm.
has asked a question. He has asked, will ChatGPT cure Alzheimer?
Yeah, Pablo. Yeah, I hope ChatGPT will help you. and I feel sorry about you, our good friend. But yeah, like maybe help some doctors to kind of summarize that data soon enough and kind of come up with a quick remedy. I don't know. Yeah, that's the problem, like not for everything, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it probably won't cure the Alzheimer, but it perhaps will allow us to build tools for
Mm.
better treatment, or at least uh, more efficient care providing at the least.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
Yasas is asking if we think ChatGPT has a edge over Bard and other things. What's your opinion, Shamin? I have my opinion as well.
Yeah, so my opinion is, I mean, technology wise, infrastructure wise, Google should have the edge, because literally they publish papers like Transformers, Bird, Attention is All You Need. But for some reason, I don't know, seems like ChatGPT is better. Maybe it just they maybe the times and all, because somehow ChatGPT just like they are the first one to break the shell. So I don't know. I still can't figure it out. Why Bard is not good enough as ChatGPT? Why people are struggling to kind of compete with ChatGPT? Maybe end of the day, it's all about tech stack and the experience of these people behind these applications.
Right.
I actually don't know. Yeah, maybe I
My
like.
take is, from a user point of view, using ChatGPT as an end user as well as using Bard, both from the web interface. Perhaps I agree. Google should have the edge given that the infrastructure they have, and more importantly, they have access to lot more information than just reading the internet. All the maps and other things. But perhaps as a user, I would still prefer ChatGPT. I think the reason is probably we saw the ChatGPT before we got used to it for a few months, and now when I use Bath, it's different. It takes time to adjust. I think that's probably the 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 the, the barrier right now. Maybe when the Bard comes in a different form, not in the web form, the chat GPT form, but rather integrated into Google products, say to Google Slides, Google Docs. Then when I'm writing a doc, I ask something, it automatically fills up. Or I'm starting a slide deck and ask a question, and it generates the slides with the images. Then I might see the value of Bard much more than the chat GPT. But as of now, it's more of a friction of getting used to something. It's like changing one phone to the other. That's probably the friction I see. But I think in the long run, if Google do it right, especially integrating into their other other products in a seamless way, maybe that may be a easier way to sort of enter.
Yeah.
uh, so we have one more question from uh, Pablo. I think we kind of said it earlier, but we can reiterate. So the question Pablo asking is, where does the Chat GPT get the info from Google? I think I think what you said is, how they train Chat GPT, the large language model, is up to 2021 September, right? They look at everything on the internet,
Yeah.
and let the model consume all of that, and did the pretext task of predicting a mask out word. So essentially ChatGPT got the info from all the information that's available in the internet.
Yes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So basically, I think ChatGPT has all these knowledge stored inside its parameters. So that's why, like, so right now the knowledge, like if you ask something like factual, it will answer from the parameters, and those parameters somehow like consist of the knowledge before 2021. I mean, from its own data. Yeah.
Right. So there's three more questions. I'll first take Johan's question. He's asking, how do we get the most out of ChatGPT from prompting? Any good techniques? I think, at least my experience, uh, the good prompting does make a difference. And the source I had been using is, there is a, at least if you want a quick start, there's a 1 hour course on prompt engineering for ChatGPT by Andrew Ang. That
Yeah.
would be starting. I don't know, Shamin, whether you know anything else as a
Yeah, I mean, for me also, prompt engineering is more like something you need to get good at it, especially when it comes to your own task. I think that that course is perfect, like deeplearning.ai, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah, that
Uh,
is really good.
Look
Yeah.
for Andrew Ang for prompt engineering for ChatGPT. Then Nayantara is asking, what are the challenges and techniques involved in training deep neural networks, especially training these large language models?
Yeah. So the main thing right now with their size, right, scale, because these models, and for example, ChatGPT has 175 billion parameters, which is enormous. So basically, they had to come up with a custom server which with more GPUs and all. So the carbon footprint is a real deal. So that's like a huge problem right now. But again, like, it's just amazing to see how these server cost is going down. Like, I kind of can't even believe how things have changed over last 2 3 years. They say like it's going down twice as the Moore's law. Like, so that's the main thing. And also in a recent paper I read, like, another thing is data, like, because right now these models could get biased into different data sets, because right now all these big companies and everyone is like kind of collecting data and trying to train, although they are unsupervised. And also some people are trying to use another language models to generate data, which could also like can give some challenging effects to these models when it comes to racial biases and hallucinations. So mainly, yeah, mainly the training infrastructure and data. But seems like that area is being getting
Shaman, there's a lot of questions, but maybe for those who are interested in learning about generative AI, and thinking of those as their potential research direction, may it be a master's or PhD. You have done that recently. You have graduated, and can you talk through about your research experience, and perhaps uh, how the life was like in the lab? How would you advise someone what path to take? That would be useful.
Oh yeah, that's a very good question. So to be honest, like, hands down, so far the best time of my life, or the best experience I've had is my like going through my PhD. I Oh my god, that was so challenging. To be honest, it's not easy because yeah, like it's like, because in our lab usually we try to go for the edge, like it's we always try to do new things. We always, even when it comes to conferences and papers, we always try to get like the better ones, A star or whatever it is. So that doing a PhD is like a journey, like it can really improve your mindset, where you think, and also it can help you to face your challenges. So if anyone want to do like something in this domain or any other domain, what I'm saying is like it's really important to have a clear cut topic, because you will be working on a topic for 3 years. And also keep it in mind, like, at the end of your PhD, you are the one who should be an expert of that topic, not anyone else. So make sure like your topic is futuristic first. In like, when sometimes you might think when you're just starting, or maybe I'll find something which is easy. Nothing is easy, to be honest. Any topic can go like really deep. But my point is, you make sure like you think for the future. That's the main thing, because after 3 years you will be in the market. And if you have done good things, you will get rewarded. Like, For
Right.
example, yeah, yeah.
And I can just add to that by saying, Charmaine indeed walked that talk. What I did was, I provided general advice and set the direction, but you know uh, uh, by the time graduating, Charmaine is the expert, even in the lab, in terms of uh, NLU type of task, and he knew the literature, he knew what was happening. He went for meetups, and then he was invited by many companies to join because he was the expert, and as the advisor, I showed the path, and Charmaine sort of made it on his own. I think that's a great advice, because if you are looking to do a PhD, and wanting someone to tell you what to do, and if you do as I say, that doesn't make you an independent thought leading person in that topic. And that's what Charmaine did not do. He took the leadership, and then he took the initiative, and that's why now for this large language model specific topics, he's the expert we have.
So, and I also want to add something about your mentorship, so like so it's like I really like the way Surang is mentoring. Like it's more like I remember, like when I first joined the lab, he did this session somewhere. He said like, I usually don't say how to make a ship, but I would literally show them the sea and some materials. Actually, that's what he's doing. Hand on my heart. He's like, he would never never ask you to do this or that, or like he would not micromanage you, I would say, which is pretty good for a PhD, because it should be your topic, and you have to be responsible about your thing. But again, he will always push you for the best. That's something really important. And most of people ask me, like even now, like what is the main thing, how, like in a PhD, especially when it comes to the selection process. So for me, first thing is like your supervisor, because I know it might be funny for some people, but literally you need to have a good supervisor where you kind of can even have a casual chat. Because PhDs are not that easy, because it's not like compared to an undergrad or compared to a master's by coursework. The main difference in PhDs, you might not able to find 10 people doing the same thing in like next to you, because then maybe after first month or something, it will be always you, because that's because you need to come up with a new thing. So there could be some stressful situations. And also, first thing is you need to have a really good connection with your supervisor, and a supervisor that can understand the way of you think and all. So first thing is supervisor. Then the other thing is the background. Like with the lab we had was amazing, and now it's in Singapore. I still miss it, because we had such a multidisciplinary group where we can learn. Like people were good at electronics, people were good at running user studies, people were good at even different other skills like playing guitar, dancing, singing, sports. So it's like a whole combination. And then comes your topic, and then comes your technical set of skills and all. So make sure you will you will clear those things. And you will have a like kind of a clear future before starting the topic and all. Yeah.
Thanks, Shamin. No, I mean, just to be clear, I didn't ask you to say any of these things, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
nice
No,
to
no,
nice
of
to
course not.
hear all of these things. And as I said, it's nice to see you. And once again, thank you so much for joining at this time of the day. I know it's past 10, middle of the winter, where you should be taking some rest after a full day of working and dealing with all these AI problems all day. uh, Thank you once again, and those who joined. I think we had a number of people joined, and lots of comments and questions. Feel free to reach out to us if you have more questions. You can find my email and my info through www.suranga.info, or you can visit our augmented human lab. And I'm happy to pass Shamane's email if anyone has anything specific. And by the way, Shamane runs his own channel on latest AI, and last week he went through a paper in great detail. So those who are interested in understanding in-depth technical aspects of generative models and large language models, I strongly suggest that you take a look at Shamane's podcast. Thank you so much. Hopefully, I'll be back again with another webinar with interesting topic. Thank you, Shamane, once again.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.
Bye.